Well, okay, I've written, and it is in fact, I'd say 99.8% written. You know, you never really finish until they yank it out of your hands. Um, but I've written a memoir about the years I spent working on Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, which I call an anecdotal memoir because it isn't in interlinked chapters or anything, or it's more or less chronological, but it's let me tell you a story about this, and now here's a story about how we did that, and now here's a story, and it's like I say, they're chronological, and basically, for me, it's I've been telling these stories for 40 years to friends or on Facebook or stuff. Being because it's Star Wars, people have asked me questions my whole life, basically. How did this happen, or what was this, or is this really true? That kind of thing. And so I've told these stories to friends. I've told them I've been a guest at many conferences that asked me to talk about it, and as we do today, I've told these stories on Facebook. And for years, people said you should write a book. And I was always I don't know if I have, thanks, but I don't know if I have a book's worth of stories that would be interesting. And a couple of years ago, I was asked to go to an event in a tiny, tiny place. I guess it's a town. I mean, it's really a hotel and some ski lodges in the middle of Norway, a town called Finse. And I mean, that's literally all that's there. It's where we shot the exteriors for Hoth, for The Empire Strikes Back. And I was invited to be the keynote speaker at an event there a couple of years ago, a Star Wars event. And so I put together a slideshow, PowerPoint slides, talking about a lot of these different things. And I finally decided, okay, let me see if I think there really is enough for a book. And I pulled down all the stories I had already written for Facebook because they existed in a written form. And there was like 6,000 words worth of stories. And in my mind, a book is 40 or 50,000 words, or it's a pamphlet. If it's any shorter than that, it's not really a book. I needed to have in my mind that I could get that much. And then I made a list of topics. What can I tell stories about from those years that people might find interesting? And I had a lengthy list of topics, a page and a half single-spaced of just topics. So I said, okay, so I just started writing them. And because it's anecdotal, I didn't have to write them in order. I wrote them as it occurred to me I was interested in telling that story, or I remembered enough of it at the moment to tell that story. And then I assembled them in chronological order. And when I was done, I found I had over 100,000 words worth of anecdotes, and I put them together. The book is targeted to come out the end of this year, leading into the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back. And I've shown the book to a lot of people involved in Star Wars in some way. People who've written Star Wars novels, some of the major Star Wars websites and podcasters, and got them to give me quotes to use on the book. I gave them the manuscript as it stood at that point, and they gave me quotes to use on the book. And thankfully, I got lots of really good quotes by people, some of whom are well known, and some of whom are well known in the world of Star Wars fandom, which is, I guess, the target audience for my book. And Gary Kurtz, before he died, Gary was the producer of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and who I've been friends with all this time and have worked with on a number of films since Star Wars. Gary wrote a foreword for the book, so that's nice to have on the cover.